The reason I opened it, I'm turning 50, and I was like, you know what? I need to know, is this a thing or not? No one cares about you. Only you think about you in that way. No one else is thinking about you. And when I understood that, that was the most liberating thing for me.
What's the biggest risk that you took in building Poduty Live?
I'm not telling my wife. I just signed the contract.
Welcome to the Founder's Hustle, where every business has a backstory worth telling. And today's guest is Jeff Revilla, founder of Poduty Live, a unique venue which blends the experience of going to a live theater with digital podcasting, located just outside of Pittsburgh. With a background in digital marketing, podcasting, and live streaming, Jeff has built a space where creativity, technology, and community come together in a fresh and engaging way. After reading his website and talking to him, I'm super excited to learn more about this extraordinarily unique business venture that he has put together. So welcome to the show, Jeff. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Judy. Thanks so much for having me here, even though little hang-ups getting here today, but you've been very patient, and I appreciate your hospitality.
You know what? After seeing your story and what you're doing, you've piqued my curiosity beyond measure. So I couldn't help but to make sure that we got connected today. And I'm sure glad I am. You are standing in front of a beautiful podcast studio, in front of a live stage. And even after reading your website, I'm still trying to put together all the pieces in my head. So I just got to know, what the heck do you do over at Poduty?
It is funny, even today in 2026, this is a concept that I've been talking about since 2017. So the thing that I realized when I opened this is, okay, I've been talking about this for a long time. I've been thinking about this every day. And the reason I opened it, I'm turning 50. And I was like, you know what? I need to know, is this a thing or not? I presented this at PodFest. I've done presentations on it. I talk about the infinite seat theater all the time. I just want to know, is it a thing? But also, whenever I finally opened it, I realized nobody else was thinking about this. So just like those feelings, those emotions that you're having, I'm reading through this, and you'll get an idea, or you'll get a grasp of the idea. But then for most people, you start to get new ideas and new things pop in your head. Oh, could I also do this? Oh, you did a show like that? I bet I could do something like this. And so because of the way we built this and put this whole theater together, it really branches off. And that's probably some of the things that we'll talk about coming up, but it's really a blank canvas for creators. If you want to perform something, we can figure out how to make that show happen.
So tell me about maybe one of your latest shows, or one of your more fun or successful, iconic shows that you can think of. Walk the listeners through what it is that you do and what shows and how that plays out, if you will.
Yeah, one of my favorites, they're local Pittsburgh. They're coming up on their 4th show at the theater. They're called Crypts and Corks. They talk about ghost stories and haunted things like Tales from the Crypt types things. But the corks are a wine. So with all the ghost stories they tell, they pair the stories with a bottle of wine. So they pick a themed wine that goes with the episode. And when they come to me and they say, hey, I want to do a show, what we do is we build a landing page for them. So now they have a place on the internet they can sell tickets from. We handle all the ticket facilities for them. So if people want to buy tickets online, we got that covered. They don't have to worry about that. But then when it comes showtime, we usually work on it. I put an outline together. We get some multimedia assets, whatever is needed for the show. But then I record the show for that podcaster. I give them back the recording so that they can later release as an episode. While they got to entertain, their guests that came in. And then we split the door 50-50. It's a very simple business model. I made it very creator friendly. I don't want a podcaster. Most podcasters don't make any money. So for a podcaster to be on a hook with a contract, with owing the house money at the end of the night, I didn't want any of that. I wanted a white glove service that podcasters could come in off the street, do a live show, and then leave with money in their pocket without worried that they owe a $100 cleaning fee, or they owe the house for the rental space for the night. Most podcasters walk out with at least $50 to $100 after their first show. So it's a pretty incredible proof of concept that live events can be valuable for podcasters who may or may not ever monetize through doing ads on their podcast, reading ads for Purple Mattress or MeUndies. They can come in and perform with this beautiful white glove service and then leave. That's it. It's so we made it so simple, maybe too simple.
Well, no, it's fascinating, and to be quite honest, it's one of those things where it's like, why didn't I think of that? It's such a cool concept. How many people can you seat in your theater in the audience?
Well, the theater seats 40. So
Okay.
that's by design. I want these small, intimate spaces.
Right.
But because it's surrounded by cameras, it actually has the same capacity as Madison Square Garden. So
Aw.
we could have 20,000 people watching that show with just 40 of your closest friends and family and best fans in the theater. So you get this like mix match of, it's an intimate setting, but it can be watched by thousands and thousands of people.
That is fantastic. So give me another example, beyond the ghost telling, wine drinking fanatics out there. Give me another example of a successful or fun podcast that comes to your live venue.
We have one coming up, Tamara, for the Nailed It Motherhood podcast. She tested every possible piece of technology that I have in this theater for her show. It was a season 1 wrap party. She did full catering for her guests. So there's food tables, drinks set up, and she came in, she did the podcast. She had videos, she had slides, she had virtual guests. She had music. She had like videos. She had every possible element in this fantastic 90-minute show celebrating her season 1 wrap party. She's got another one coming up in April for her season 2 wrap party. And it's just a most amazing time. She almost filled the house. She's catering and creating this experience that's bringing her community together. It's moms telling stories about motherhood and experts and doctors and all kinds of people talking about their journey through motherhood and what it's like for them, and they're leaning on each other and they're supporting each other, and they come in and she made a mocktail. I remember they had like a mimosa, but it was like a non-alcoholic mimosa for all the moms.
Right.
And then there was like fruit trays and cheese trays and all these little things for them to snack on, and just a great experience. And that's another way to think about like, okay, maybe I don't want to do my podcast live, but I want to have a reward for my fans. So she's doing it as like a reward. Like, hey, we made it through another season. Let's party.
That is fantastic. So are you the only business of this kind throughout the U.S.? Or I've never heard of this before. Is there anybody else that's even remotely close to doing what you're doing?
Yeah, not exactly what I'm doing. There's obviously iterations of this. You see, it's not much different than a comedy club. And comedy clubs will do live podcasts, but they don't really live stream it. So that combination of having a small community theater with the live streaming element, that's pretty unique as far as a public space goes. I've seen, John Lovitz had what he called a podcast theater like in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I saw a place in Atlanta that opened like right at COVID. I don't think they had much success, and it was more like business event centered. So
Sure.
more like a conference type of arena. This is really like a small club, like a comedy club for podcasters, which is it's a very, very unique concept. I still say it's the world's first with this combination of live streaming, physical presence with a physical theater space. I haven't seen that model duplicated yet,
Right.
but I know it's coming because I get a lot of inquiries about, what is this place?
You could be on the cusp of something. Well, and you are on the cusp of something great. It is like, I'm fascinated by it. But at what point, take me back, 7, 8 years ago when you thought this was all in your head? What snapped? What made you go, this is what we need in Pittsburgh? And you took the step to do it. Walk me through that.
Yeah, it was actually an online platform that really pushed me in this direction. I fell in love with a platform called Blab back in 2015. Some people remember Blab, some don't, but it was the first 4-in-the-box live streaming service where you could really go live, and they had this social element baked into it that nothing else did. Like Facebook Live doesn't have this, YouTube Live doesn't have this, where it would deliver 30 people that a live stream was happening. It would like almost notify the entire like group of people who have signed up. Hey, there's a live show going on. You want to go check it out? And when I started as a trivia show, and I didn't have any guests booked when I started, and I needed 8 guests to play trivia. So I had to find, so I was totally relying on finding 8 people when I hit the live button. And that sounds crazy in 2026 because most platforms aren't going to give you any traffic for most live streams. They're going to let you, they'll let you go through, record it, and then after they start delivering traffic so they can serve ads on it. But in 2015, Blab would deliver you 30, 40 people within 3 to 4 minutes. And I could put a show together on the spot with 8 contestants playing trivia. That's how crazy it was. But Blab didn't have a way to monetize, and it just collapsed under its own weight. But it left a hole in a lot of our hearts. A lot of the blabbers who were around back then were like, well, what do we do? And I would bounce from platform to platform. We would all try different things. A couple people even tried to rebuild Blab, and it just never worked out the same. And so my original concept was, well, if I can't go to this place where Blab would bring me all these people, maybe I could physically go to a place and just ambush people. Like I could go to a park along a river trail, or a lot of parks have those like clamshell stages. Maybe I could set up my podcast there, or at a mall, on a bench at a mall, or in the city street. And I call it Podcast Anywhere. I built a system that would fit in the backseat of my sedan that I could just pop up and I could do a podcast. And it was fun. And I ended up doing it a couple of times. And a friend of mine opened like a photo studio and a coffee shop. And he's like, hey, I got this empty parking lot next door. Why don't we do a show? And we scheduled it for March 30th, 2020.
Okay.
It was a bad time to schedule anything right. As the world was shutting down for COVID. And so I was so close to like really doing this as a live performance, as a live art. And we got yanked off the air because of COVID. And I just kept thinking about it. I kept processing it and building it. I was like, okay, well, I could just do this from my basement, or, and I could broadcast anywhere. I could go to like a raging kegger party at a college campus, or a bar mitzvah, a birthday party, weddings.
Right.
I could be like a DJ, but like I could do the trivia as part of their entertainment. And so that idea of recording that and broadcasting it became kind of like that focal point. Like I could be a TV studio that's mobile, that travels anywhere. I can record and broadcast to millions of people. Was in my head, millions of people. And I could just have this fun time doing it. And I wouldn't have to worry about anything. Just having a good time sharing podcasting. The way, in my mind, that's the way like music was in the 80s and 90s, where these punk rock bands, these independent artists, they would travel and they didn't have places to play. They literally played houses. They would go on a US tour and they would play like people's basements in like a small town. They would be like, there'd be like 50 kids in a basement. And that's kind of what I thought about. Like, okay, I could take this on the road and play these small basements and these small venues and just have a good time, just spreading my love of podcasting with people who are, they're in a good mood, they're partying, they're having a good time, and record something special and share it with the world. And that was really the seeds of what could it do? Obviously it refined itself a few times and to where we are now, where we have a physical theater space.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the fact that you took the bull by the horns. Like it's been resting in your mind. It's been simmering. You've tried a couple of different iterations of it. But you never stopped. Like you never stopped. You just kept pushing forward to the point of where you're at today. But I really appreciate the creativity combined with the business mindset that you have in order to bring this to market. Talk to me about, and a lot of people have wonderful ideas, but that just rests right inside their mind. They never let it seep into reality. How did you go from thinking about it? What were the actual steps that you took to just get this thing launched?
Yeah, part of it was the ultimatum. I was 48. I was like, I'm turning 50 this year, June 12th. I'm like, I need to know for sure, what this is, what this idea is. And I just did it. Like, I was like, I'm tired of thinking about it. And I was like, I understood, what I needed. And I'm very bootstrappy. Like I'm scrappy with my expenses. I put this together like on the cheap for what you would think a theater space would cost. I was able to piece things together through Amazon auction sites. I bought these orange chairs, which you see that I have 100 of them that I bought for $2 a piece from a closing Catholic school. So for $200, I got chairs that I can furnish 2 theaters with, right?
Yeah.
So I'm real scrappy, and I wanted to do a minimal viable product. Like, how can I bring this idea to life, where I'm comfortable? If in 2 years I make $0, hey, I can go to my grave. I tested the idea. I didn't break the bank. I can afford the monthly payments every month if I have to do everything out of pocket. But in 2 years, I'll know, like, I'll have some traction. I'll have met great podcasters. I'll have done more interviews. I just wrote a book, and I did the audio book about this place, and like it's snowballing in a way that it may get out of control at some point. But in another year or 2 years, as the public catches on to what this is, and they start to see this as a form of entertainment, as podcasters see that, hey, the public's coming to these places now. I could be selling tickets to my show. So as it really gains more and more momentum, it's just going to be this crazy, crazy thing that I can now see what I started 2 years ago. It's just getting more and more momentum and it could become its own monster. And you do mention, like, people have ideas, they don't always execute on them. I tell people exactly what I do, exactly how I built this, because I know what you're talking about. People have ideas, they don't execute. So you can see exactly you can walk in, take photos of my control room, take photos of the speakers and the truss. That's fine. I know that 99% of the people who ask me about this are dreamers, and they don't think about it. I'm looking for the ones who want to execute on it, because what we have here in Pittsburgh, I want to see in Cleveland. I do want to see in Baltimore and Columbus and DC, because I want podcasts to have a system to go to towns on a weekend. Like, I'll go play Cleveland and Columbus on the weekend in Ohio, or I'll go over to Detroit. It's only 4 hours from Pittsburgh. I can do a Michigan date and come back. Like comedians, like musicians, they travel around and perform their show. Why don't podcasters have that network? So I do want people to copy it. And that's why I tell everybody the exact business model. But I also want to go around, and I want to take my shows around. I want to perform in other cities and other towns and build this fabulous network of small clubs helping each other.
Well, it resonates through and through, the fact that you love what you do. The business is the business, but it's you caring about your community and other people and other performers, and allowing them to have the platform to share their artist work, which I find very fascinating and enduring. I too am in that same age bracket as you, and I totally understand that need to just do it, just try it. And there is something about that level of life where it's just like, you've got to go for it. And there's nothing, you don't fail, you either succeed or you learn. Speaking of which, what have you learned so far? What are some of the big lessons that you have learned to date about starting this business that you could pass along to others?
Yeah, well, I produced online events for the from 2020 to 2024, and I would announce an event, and we did live streams. So I'd do 12-hour live streams where over 2 days, I would bring in a new podcast every half an hour, and we'd flip that stage for 12 hours. And that show would fill up in 3 to 4 days. I'd have enough podcasters. What I didn't realize is your online reach isn't like your local reach. So while I build up this online community, I can find people in California and Washington and Canada and all these countries can do virtual performances. Finding people in your local hometown is a struggle. That's the hardest part. Your online footprint isn't like your local footprint, especially in a smaller area like Western Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh. And the reason that's a problem is you got to find talent for the stage. You really have to develop that and figure out who it is. So I opened the door thinking like, okay, hey, I've been thinking about this. It's a great thing. People can do live podcasts and make money. And we had a little bit of momentum, and then it immediately dropped off. I opened in June of 24. And then by July, by August, I'm like, this is not going so well. Like, this isn't working. And so I realized that it's not the place, it's not the model, it's the connections. I'm 50, right? I'm a family man. I'm married for 25 years. I got 2 daughters. Like, I've been doing family stuff for 20 years and I lost a lot of connections to local people. I can go in my office at night and do a virtual thing, but locally, what have I been doing? So I started what the key was. I do meetups once a month now where
Okay.
I buy drinks, I buy pizza, I bring in 20, 25 people once a month, and I'm getting 2 to 3 of them to commit to doing shows. So the way that I do my advertising now is I'm building community around live podcasters. We just did one on Sunday. It was 35 people downtown Pittsburgh showed up, and from that, I've got a show on Sunday I just booked. I got one I'm working on, and I got another one coming up in April. So that little meeting produced 3 shows for me, and that's how I've been having to find talent. So one thing I would suggest to people is make sure you focus on your local network. If there's meetups in your town, start making those connections, because just because you're thinking about an idea, nobody else is thinking about your idea. So
Right.
make those local connections, have those in place. The more you have, even if you have like 2 friends that can do a show once a week, that's great. Keep building that local network. You have to find the local talent right now, because this is a newer form of entertainment. You got to find those podcasters willing to take a risk and come to your stage. And the way I've been doing it is through these meetups, and they've been very successful.
Oh, that's fantastic. I have not had, a lot of business owners talk about the power of networking, the power of finding a mentor. But specifically, the meetup is new. And that's what a great way to infuse yourself and start networking in the community. And I'm glad that it has worked so well for you. And I'm sure that anybody listening will take that to heart as well and start looking into the meetup app in order to, do some more networking in their business arena that makes sense for them. Talk to me a little bit about maybe something that you didn't realize as a business owner. Maybe you've been an employee for your entire life. Now you run the show. Talk to me about what that feels like to be the owner versus the employee, and that mental mindset or that leadership that you need to have, any motivation. Talk to me about that.
I love it. Something about my past is in about 2000 to 2008, I owned and operated a mail order skateboard company where I sold skateboards all over the world. We ended up manufacturing them. I had a skate park. And in hindsight, looking back, those were the best days of my life, right? Owning a business is magical and all these great things, but you forget about like when the tax bills due. You forget about all the accounting you had to do and the records you had to keep because you were a corporation. And, it's the times where you barely paid the lights bill and you barely made payroll for your staff. And you don't remember those times, but being immersed in that moment is incredible. And when I closed that door, it was, early 2000, 2008. What happened was I ended up realizing I had a very particular set of skills, like not like Liam Neeson in Taken, but I had the set of skills where colleges weren't yet teaching about digital marketing. And I had built my own social network at that time for skateboarders. I was doing video production. I was doing photography, social networking. I was doing all these things that was a very good skill set for other companies. And I got into the workplace, got into the work world, and everybody, for the first 5 years of me making that transition into like a corporate lifestyle, people were like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. You'll never make it like this. You're not cut from that cloth. So, but I suppressed it, and I still have a great career. I love what I do professionally. I'm one of the top probably 5% in my industry as far as like digital marketing goes. I'm a thought leader that people actually come to me for problems, and I'm solving problems in automotive marketing. And I love that idea. But in the back of my head for these 15 years, I've been like, I'd always have a business. And I think in a way, like in 2015, when I started podcasting, that was kind of like that creative outlet for me. Mm-hmm. And now I've released it. Like now the daughter's growing up more. They need me less, right? So I'm getting Jeff back again. I'm becoming, I got all this free time, and that creativity is just oozing. Like it's coming out of me. Like all I want to do is just create stuff now. And I have the freedom to do it, where I'm in a good financial place to just take risks and try things. And I'm loving it now more than ever, and I love that mentality. But I'm probably cut from that cloth too. So if you're thinking about starting a business, it is hard. You have to understand that you're going to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and you may not see anything for a year or two. It's you better do some things you do for passion, some things you do because you love them, and some things are just that this is the path I need to be on right now, and I'm going to do it. There's good days and there's bad days. A lot of times I tell people I could wake up and I can get an email and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Why am I doing this? This is the worst thing. I got to be the biggest idiot in the world. And then 2 hours later, I'll close a deal that's going to pay for all the expenses for 2 months. And I'm like, I'm the smartest man alive. I can't believe. And sometimes that's in the same hour where you have this ebb and flow of emotions that you just no control over because you don't know what's around the next corner. So, you got to have a tough stomach. You got to kind of have a DIY mentality where like, I can fix, if there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. If there's a challenge, I'm going to tackle it. And if you can handle that, you'll do fine in business. But are you cut from that cloth? Can you do those things? If you can, then you're good to go.
Right. Okay, so let's look at it this way. You're almost 50. Now you're like 49 3/4.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
What would 49 3/4 Jeff tell 18-year-old Jeff? What would you tell yourself if you could give yourself advice? You turn 18-year-old self advice.
I just had a great answer for this question, and it was kind of, because people ask me that question from my perspective of being an 18-year-old skateboarder, punk rock kid who would judge me now for not selling out, but like being the man, right? For becoming like part of the system. And the angle that I think I had on that was, I don't know if I wanted him to be part of the system, but to really, build that foundation that let me be who I am, and really embrace that independence, embrace that free thinking, because it will pay off down the road. It will differentiate you in a corporate environment. And I've come across so many former skateboarders, so many former musicians and punk rock kids who most people probably wrote off when they were children, when they were 18 and 20 years old. But what they did during that time period, instead of just lining up and following the status quo, they challenged the systems. They questioned the systems. Yeah. And for skateboarders, you learn to maneuver within a system so that, you're always running from police because you're trying to find skateboard spots, and you're jumping down stairs and handrails, and you're trying to, hide from security guards. So you learn to think about things, and you see the world different. Some people just see a bench, but a skateboarder sees an obstacle to do tricks on. So your perception of the world is different, and you just view things in a different catalyst. Like it's just a different mindset. Yeah. And those things enable you to be different in a future environment, in a corporate environment where it's just structure. Like, this is how we do it. This is the rule that we do because the corporate lawyers said we had to do it. But those skateboarder kids, those independent kids, those punk rock kids, they say, I'll follow the rules 100%. But I also see it as there's a way to do this a little bit differently. And that questioning really pays dividends. So I would just tell Jeff, keep dreaming, keep being who you are, keep questioning things, keep exploring things, because you're going to love, the way things turn out.
Aw, that is one of the best little scenarios, stories and analogies, the whole skateboarder. That was really good advice. So thank you.
I'll say also eat healthy now. I'm almost 270 pounds, try to let's keep that ticker rolling,
Let's keep that ticker. Well, okay. So I'm pretty sure you'll remember this one, but since you're into skateboarding, I too was a skateboarder. I say that very, very loosely. I had a Back to the Future skateboard, and my neighbor had one. What's that called? A half pike?
Yeah.
In his driveway or what? Yeah, and boy, oh boy, did I try to make that thing work. I never did, but I sure as heck tried. I thought it was so cool with a Back to the Future, and then I would just fall flat on my tush, and that was that.
It was fun. It's one of the most challenging things you can do. Skateboarding, people think it's these lazy bum kids. It is a very intense. It's a very violent. It's a very you have to be very athletic to be a skateboarder. It's abusive, and it's abusive physically, abusive mentally. It'll challenge you in ways that you won't even think about. It's one of those, fall down 100 times, get up 101. It's that type of mentality that makes you a good skateboarder. Just getting up one more time, and you go home and you're just filthy. You're sweaty. You're covered in dirt. But you've been rolling around in the streets, and you got the one trick that you try to get. You might spend 8 hours trying to get one trick, and when you land it, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like learning that dedication, that repetition. Those things really do. I think that's another reason why skateboarders succeed in the future is because to be good at skateboarding, you had to do the one thing that people know you for 1,000 times. You had to repeat it. You had to do a kickflip in the driveway 1,000 times before you could do it down 10 stairs.
Right.
And once you did it down 10 stairs, people, that's the guy that kickflipped 10 stairs. But the repetition, the practice, the slams, the pain, the self-torture, the mental anguish to get to that point is the reward. And that's the lesson that you learn, that they don't teach that in gym class or art class in college.
Right.
You have to really grind out and just do it.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I would have never put two and two together, but you make such a valid observation about, you fall down 100 times, but you got to get up 101 times. Same thing in business, right? You want to own a business or corporate or anything, life. You're going to fall down 100 times in life. You got to get up 101. So it's building that resilience. Okay, are you up for the lightning round? I'm going to rattle off some questions. You rattle off answers. You down for that?
Let's figure it out. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's go.
All right. Well, I got a couple questions for you, and we'll just see what you have here. One word that describes Poduty Live.
Fun.
What was that again?
Fun.
Oh,
Just
heck yeah.
like me, it's fun to say Poduty. Even when people say it, it feels like you're on the kindergarten playground and somebody said like a word that you're not supposed to say in front of the teacher, and it makes you giggle, it makes you laugh. This is a fun, safe environment for all kinds of different people to come on and perform their show in a way that they're not going to be judged. It's going to be fun. I'm sorry that wasn't just a lightning round answer, but I wanted to explain why it was fun. Yeah.
It was a perfect answer. Dream guest to host at your venue.
Oh, I love Whitney Cummings. She famous comedian, actress, like Hollywood mogul. I would love to hear her backstories of how she built her career, how she put TV shows together and sold them, the behind the scenes stories of traveling as a comic. I just think she has so much wealth of information that we can, as an independent, theater owner, I could draw from and learn so many things from her.
All right. Whitney, we got to find her. We're going to tag her. Come on up, girl. Yeah. All right. What's harder, building the business or promoting it?
Promoting was definitely harder, especially those first couple of months.
What's the favorite part? A live event, before, during, or after?
Ooh, can I go through each one, or does I have to give you one answer? That's it.
Yep, go for it. You tell me.
The before is weird because there's a lot of nervous energy in the room. The podcasters are always nervous. They're pacing. They're not quite as loose as I am. So that's a weird. The during is all that stress evaporates. It disappears. So that's great. But really the best part is the wrap. Once that show ends, the room is electric.
That is, I can see how that definitely plays out. What's the biggest risk that you took in building Poduty Live?
I'm not telling my wife. I just signed the contract.
That's a huge risk, Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Back up. Let's hear that one.
Well, she kind of knew I was putting this together, but didn't know that I had selected a place. And I was looking for places for a year and a half to find the right place at the right price, especially during 2023 and 2024 when real estate was skyrocketing. And I found the right place at the right price, and I just signed the contract because I knew that was where I wanted to put it. But no pre-discussion about like, hey, I'm doing it, by the way.
Well, it sounds like she's been married to you long enough to just know that this is what Jeff does, and whatever you do seems to be kind of gold. So there's comfort in that. One piece of advice that you would give a new creator.
I'll tell you that the advice that got me recording is the phrase, no one cares. And when I say this, I only mean this towards a new creator, and I mean this from my perspective, is I didn't like hearing my voice on a recording. I don't like seeing my face on recording. But I started this trivia show, and people were listening to it. They were gravitating towards it and enjoying me hosting and being silly and goofy, but enjoying the show. And what I realize is they've chose to listen to me for whatever reason. My only responsibility is to deliver the best 30-minute show I can. They have their own bills to pay. They got to get their kids to soccer practice. They have to run errands and go grocery shopping. They're not thinking about me the way that I'm thinking about me. They're just looking for 30 minutes of entertainment. They don't care how I think I sound. They don't care how I think I look. No one cares about you. Only you think about you in that way. No one else is thinking about you. And when I understood that as a new creator, that was the most liberating thing for me. Was it just let me be who I was without worrying about what these people thought of me, or it was only me thinking about what I thought, what I sounded like. And so I love that. I love that phrase, and I hope that other people see the value in that they're not thinking about you the way you think about you. Only you are. So get over it.
Right, get over it.
People chose you. Give them the best half hour you can.
That is the best way to wrap up this show. You have uniquely inspired me to just get out of my own head and play out some of the ideas and the creativity that's kind of wrapped up in there, and just, nobody cares. Just do it. Just do it. And I love it. I love it. So give us a shout out. How do we find Poduty live?
Yeah, Poduty.com, Poduty.com. There's a wealth of information, upcoming shows, 100 forms to contact me. You can call me too. My number's right on the website there. If you like live podcasting, I host the only live podcast about live podcasting recorded live. It's called Poduty in the News, and you can get that from the website or news.poduty.com. And that's where I'd love to see you go. Check it out. It's called Poduty in the News. It's the only live news podcast about live podcasting recorded live. It's very, very meta.
I love it. I love it. Well, great advice, great story, and great conversation. I so appreciate your time tonight. And I look forward to watching your growth and seeing how everything turns out. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Judy. It's been a blast.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Founders Hustle. I would absolutely love to know what resonated with you the most from today's guest. Go ahead and drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, if there's a future topic that you'd like me to touch on, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. But no matter where you're watching or streaming your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Tell a friend about this. I would love the support. But in the meantime, keep living, keep growing, and keep hustling, because you are meant to do great things. See you next week.